Right.
How you doing, everybody? Good evening. This is Getting Down with Stephen D. I'm here with Miss Just Me, Lashana D. We're talking. We're gonna be talking general relationships, life. Earlier today, we went on like a walk. Trying to personal care. Looking at the beauty of God's nature. I started asking people about this is my Facebook, Getting Down with Stevie D, asking people what are they doing for the holiday season. Actually, what are they cooking? So traditional people cook turkey and chitlins and greens and yams and all that. We usually don't do a traditional Christmas. We might do hamburgers, chicken, drumettes, ribs, stuff like that. Now, I was wanting to know, what are you guys cooking for Christmas? What are you guys? Um, Put it in the comments whenever you can, and let me know what are you cooking for Christmas. And we talked about decorations on the outside and the inside of the house. If you want to take some pictures of your decorations on the inside, I said put it in the comments because I'm interested to see what y'all guys are decorating because I like Christmas. I like the decoration. I like the lights. I like how the people it brings people together. I really like that. I know it's not about all about that. It's about Jesus Christ. It's about Him being born just to die for me. You got to make it personal. He was born just to die for you and me. But I'm just want to chit chat on some things about life, about this time of year, how you doing this time of year, how you feeling. Is this do you like this time of year or is this time of year bad for you? Just things we like to chat about. But really, I'm want to talk to you about me and my wife. In our relationship. We've been together in May, what, 15 years?
May, yes.
Yeah, in May, 15 years. 15 years of marriage, and we were together about 2 years before that. But we've known each other since I was 14. She was 13. I was 14 years old. We dated twice in high school. Um, we did it twice in high school, and then I left and moved with my father to a small town. Um, then years later, what, 15, 20 years later, God blessed us to come full circle and we got back together. And we've been married and hooked up married ever since. Um, I love this woman. She's the best thing that I believe God ever blessed me with. One of the best things that God blessed me with, besides my children. Um, she's first in my life in our relationship. She's a good woman. She encourages me, and that's the ticket. When you're in a relationship, if your spouse encourages you to do better, pushes you to do better, not demean you and tear you apart, then that's a good person. That's a person you got to look at and say, this is this who I want to be with the rest of my life, who I want to grow old with. That's the thing you need to ask yourself. Because relationships are hard. They are well. Let me say this: relationships can be hard, and it is a job.
Takes both effort.
It is a job. It takes effort. I always believe that you need a time clock. I used to laugh and say, you need a time clock outside your door. So when you walk in, you click, and you go to work because it's work. You got to go to work when you come into a relationship. It takes sacrifice. It takes what's the word, baby? It takes commitment. Commitment. Well, it's
Communication.
Communication. There's another word when you okay, you okay, I can't do that because of this.
Compromise.
Compromise. That's it. Thank you. brain fart,
Brain fog.
brain fog, compromise.
Yeah.
It takes compromising also
Definitely takes
in a
compromise.
relationship. it's not easy, but it's
No, it's not.
prosperous. It can be awesome being married to the right person.
Yeah.
In the Bible, it says you're going to be equally yoked.
Absolutely.
Equally yoked. So that means you guys got to be going towards the same goals. You got to have just about the same direction. I always joked and said, two crackheads can make it because they're going to the same goal. Two preachers together can, but if you got a crackhead and a preacher, you're going two different directions. That's not going to work. You got to about have the same goals. You don't have to be raised the same, but you got to basically almost believe the same, go in the same direction, and you definitely got to love each other. First and foremost, you got to love each other with all your heart. I always say you need to find somebody. You want somebody that wants you more than they need you. Because when the need is met and there's nothing else you can offer, then they'll go and they'll leave. But if they want you, if they truly want you, then they'll stay with you until the end. Me personally, I'll be with this woman, and I want to be with this woman until I'm gone, until God takes me home. I go home to glory.
Your commitment.
You work hard as a man. You want to take care of your family. You want to do what you can. And if that person loves you just as much as you love them, then I believe it'll work. You can't. The other thing is you can't put nobody in front of your spouse, but God.
Exactly.
God is the only one you should ever put in front of your spouse because He gave that woman to you or man to you. So if God created her or him for you, then why would you? And that's the only one you would put in front of your kids. And a lot of people might get some negative feedback on this, but your kids don't even come for your spouse, not your boyfriend, not your girlfriend, not your significant other. I'm talking about your spouse. In the Bible, God says you're one, not two. When He joins you together in holy matrimony, you are one. So how are you going to disrespect yourself? How are you going to do that? How are you going to defame yourself? How are you going to hurt yourself? Well, your spouse and you are one. So you're going to love that spouse like you love yourself. And that's the thing about a relationship. You can't let nobody into your relationship but God. Your mama, your daddy, your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, not even your kids should come between you and your spouse. And listen, don't get it twisted. Your husband comes first, your wife comes first. Don't get it twisted. Just because I said they come first don't mean you dog out, you disrespect and whatever your children. Because if you're one, you're taking care of the kids together. And I've heard this and seen this, and ain't nobody coming for my kids. My kids this, and you go into a relationship with kids, and your other, you want to marry them, right? But there ain't nobody coming between my kids. Well, that's the problem because the kids know that, and they create turmoil. And since they know that, and you know that, your spouse ends up looking like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be married. There are some marriages that have failed because of that. Again, I say that does not mean you disregard your children. I'm not saying it because if you're one, you're going to do it together. You love them together. You feed them together. Now, of course, if the little ones are babies, of course, you both should feed them first.
I hear a lot of that. People
they get mad. Go ahead.
They do. I hear a lot of that. Like, you don't have to see me. Are you trying to see me?
Yeah.
I hear a lot of it like on social media. You see the memes of like who eats first. Is it the man or the child? And
depends on the age.
It's true. It's always the babies. Always the babies. I know this sounds kind of minuscule or remedial, but I see that, and it's like the way I was raised in my 2-parent home. I always saw my mother preparing and serving my father, not in a manner of slavery or anything like that, but as respect and reverence to him as being the priest of the house. And so that was instilled in me as a young girl, and I carried into my adult life. Likewise, he serves me as well. But babies are first, of course.
When they're babies, when they're small, when they can't do it for themselves. I'm talking about those babies, when they can't do it for themselves.
We become so, and I don't want to like lose my boss card or whatever, boss girls or however you guys want to call yourselves now. But a boss move is to care for your spouse. A boss move is to care for your husband. Your boss move is to be his peace. And that's the traditional side of me. Yes, we work side by side, but at the end of the day, he's the priest of the house. As you guys say, he's my king. I'm his queen. And not trying to be cliche, but that's where, okay, ladies, we're going to be totally transparent tonight. That's where a lot of us fall short because we're so stuck on me that you forget to give up some of that alpha female and that alpha in you to tap into your feminine energy, as you call it, the feminine side of you. Because guess what he wants? He wants the feminine side of you. That man, yeah, he wants you to be assertive. He wants you to be strong. He wants you to be confident. He wants you to be educated. But he also wants you to be feminine enough that he can be appreciated as the man. First and foremost, he has to be, hold those qualities. But we have gotten so far away in society of how to really treat a man. And then we wonder why we're by ourselves because we're so busy making boss moves. There's nothing wrong with making your boss moves. By all means, that's what we do. That's what we do. But in making those boss moves, be feminine enough to dial it back a little so he can be the man and you can submit to him as he's worthy to be the man to submit to first and foremost. He has to be the man that's already conditioned to submit himself to Christ, and we then can submit ourselves to him. And see, that's where we forget. We're so busy doing it. And I was guilty of it once upon a time because I did it. And it was like I was independent. And sometimes we can be, and I'm not saying remove your independence and lose yourself, but scale it back some so he can see that feminine side. Scale it back some. I know we were talking about serving kids, but in reality, you're serving him as well. And if we get back to that, you'll see that family dynamic change. You'll see that longevity in your relationships. Are we perfect? No, because we had to go through a process to even get here in our previous lives, previous marriages, and into this one, because truth be told, because I was so assertive, I was so independent, I was so strong, I was, I had my financial savvy or whatever, that it was hard for me in the beginning, I'd say, for me to open up and let him in, because I always took care of it. I always made sure it was done. I didn't wait for somebody to do it for me. But then you have this person into your life that is willing to do it with you and for you. That was a major adjustment for me. Like we were discussing today, he was totally honest. He said, "You're better than what you used to be," because it used to be I had no trust. Only man that I trusted was my father, because he was the only man in my life that never disappointed me. And I had a brother, but as far as that level, and when you have such a good example of what a man should be in a home, it's hard to accept less. And I ain't gonna lie, the first time around, he was falling short on that. But still, it took a while to get to that point. So it was not a merry-go-round, but it was a compromise. And I'll say within the first 4 years of our marriage, it was a struggle. It was 4 or 5 years. It was a struggle because, not that we bumped heads in a volatile way, but it was a bump heads of me being able to relinquish and release things, not that I didn't trust, but it was just so I was a creature of habit. I feel like I'm trying to really.
No, really, tell you the truth, she couldn't. Yeah. Because she was so used to not trusting, and vice versa.
Right.
Me too. Me too. I had some trust issues because of my previous and first marriage. But as a man in the home, we're gonna make mistakes. And as a man in the home, speaking from the man's perspective, you're going to make mistakes. But being the head of the house, being the head, the priest, does not mean you're a dictator. Man,
Right.
listen, man, I'm talking to you. It does not mean that you are a dictator.
So
Women, does not mean he's a dictator. We are supposed to provide, protect, and profess our love. That's what we need. We're supposed to do.
The 3 P's.
The 3 P's.
The 3 P's.
Provide, protect, and profess. Steve Harvey said it. Provide, protect, and profess. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to love our wives as we love the church.
That's right.
You know? So it's not for us to come down here and point our fingers, blah, 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 you gonna do this. No. Till you talk to your spouse. I'm not the smartest person in the world. And on some things I may not know. But a lot of things she knows. And she's supposed to be your help mate. That's why God put you together with that person.
Absolutely.
I believe we are predestined. I believe God predestines us. I believe he basically betrothed us years ago. And we fight because of our flesh. Because we think it looks, how we think this world would react.
Right.
But when we stop seeking the carnal and start looking for the spiritual, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all its righteousness, all things will be given unto you. All things, not just some, but if you seek God in his kingdom, he'll give you all of it. Yeah, sorry about that, but he'll give you all of it. I started seeking.
You have to.
I had to, because I was falling short. Made a lot of mistakes. Some things I don't regret. Some things I enjoy. I enjoy all of my kids. All of them. I enjoy my wife. This woman right here.
I enjoy my husband.
I enjoy her. I enjoyed her the first time I met her when I was 14 years old.
It was actually.
I was 14.
I know we'll get into like our history
later on, but
it was funny how we were put together. If anybody knows, I've already shared this, that my siblings, I have 2 siblings that were 21 and 22 years older than me. My oldest, my brother, my late brother, and my sister. So mind you, there was so many years between us. And so 4 kids, same 2 parents, 2 generations. So we had the silent generation, which was my parents. They were born in the 30s. Were they the baby boomers? The 50s and 60s, I think. So. I don't know whatever generation it is. You got Generation X, which is my generation and my sister. So mind you, we had all 3 generations in one household from one family, not from children. Yeah. And then they had children. So mind you, I'm a teenager and my sister is in her 30s, and his mother and my sister were friends. And I think my dad had some handiwork to do. It's funny. He had some handiwork to do. And of course, my sister hanging with his mother, hey, we can get, Steve to do that. So of course, okay, he meets my family or whatever. I'm like, oh, who's this kid? Whatever. I'm doing my own thing or whatever. But he was coming around and he was doing handiwork for my dad. He was painting, he was carpentry, and it was just so. It was funny if I can get my sister to come on one day, it's hilarious. She'll tell it funny because she told me that he would be my husband one day. I'm like, him? Okay, whatever. I didn't think nothing about it. But as we grew, we, started hanging out. He's my BFF as my, the boy BFF.
Best friend. She was my best friend.
And it was because his mother and my sister were friends, and they introduced us. And he was introduced to my family because he was doing handiwork for my dad. Otherwise, it would have been me because I was the girl working on the cars. I was the girl doing the yard. I was that girl. So it was like he taught me those things as a young lady. So I didn't have to depend on a man. And so I was going to blame my dad, but he just wanted to make sure I was efficient. So when I came out and got in life or whatever, I'd be able to function. But it was because of my sister and his mother how we met. It's really weird, but it is what it is. But they both knew then that this day would be, which we didn't expect that. We never did. We were just friends.
And
he was a cheap date though, y'all.
Nah, yeah, man. Look. I'm gonna be honest. I'm like that. I'm a lot better. I was the one that told her, listen, how big is your purse? What's the biggest purse you got? Come on in here. We're gonna go to the store. We're gonna fill that thing with everything. We're gonna go in here because he dagged a movie. Now this was back then. Movies had so we
late
went in
80s,
yeah,
late 80s.
So we went in there.
Is that right? The late 80s?
It's something
80s?
like something
87, 80. Is that right?
Yeah,
right?
something like it was.
Oh my gosh, that would be 87, 88.
I graduated in 91. So
I graduated in 92, so 87. Yeah, that would be right. I was 13, 14. I was going to my freshman year of high school.
So I was like, let's get your big purse, put it all candy, everything in there, and I just paid for the movies. Yeah, I didn't care. I did not. I don't care today. But I'm going to tell you something about these movies. Let me tell you something.
Oh my gosh.
When I had to spend $100 on a movie, I was mad as hell.
You gotta think a movie back then. That's our furry baby. When he knows we're on live, he comes around. But it's funny because back then I think the movie was like $1.50, and or if it was matinee, it was $2.50 or something like that. It wasn't very expensive. But I had a beach bag, and we decided what did we go see? Total Recall or something like that.
Yeah, Total Recall.
Yeah. Anyway, and I'm notorious for falling asleep in the movie, and I believe I fell asleep in that movie.
Probably did.
And I still do that to this day. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he was like, "What you gonna do with that bag?" Yeah. I'm like, "What do you mean? You gonna do with that bag?" Mm-hmm. He's like, "Because down the street from my childhood home, there was a candy store. Yeah. So we walked to the candy store because he lived like 6 blocks away. So he walked over. We walked to the candy store, and we were getting all kinds of like soda pop, candy, the silver, little red hot silver dollars. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the cheapest date ever, but it was fun.
I care.
And so my dad, he was always fond of Steve. He was very fond of Steve, even as a kid, because he was so mannered and he was so respectful. And he took us and he dropped us off. I'm saying that because I have a team that's in the mix of getting into dating. But anyway, he dropped us off and came back and got us. And so that was a big deal for me because I knew he had to like him because my dad didn't like anybody, and I'm serious. He was like, I love you, but I don't like everybody. And I am that way too. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, he was a cheap first date. That was just a little bit tidbit of history. It was hilarious, but that's how we met. But it was my sibling and his mother.
Now, I might have had a premonition back then because today you need to be a little cheap to afford some of this stuff.
Oh, you're right. Frugal. It's not cheap.
Not cheap.
Frugal.
I was frugal.
He was very frugal.
But I'm glad God tethered us back then.
Yeah.
Because hooking back up this young lady, I was, man, that's the best decision that I ever made. I would listen to God, and she's been wonderful. She's helped me. She's helped me to do the stuff I'm doing today. I try to help her to do the stuff that she does today. And I want to take care of her. I want to make sure she's set up when we retire. Because see, the older you get, when you're young, you like JG. You
want to live life to the fullest. Live life like it's golden.
You want your money now
right.
When you're young. But when you get older, you start looking at the future. You start looking at what's my retirement going to be. Right. And this is the thing that when you're in a relationship, you start thinking this way. This is a relationship. You're like, this is a good person that I want to, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. And you got to start looking at that. But to the ones that are raising kids, teach your kids, listen, you want a person, when if you ever get to that point, you want a person that you can see yourself 50, 40, 50, 30, 40, 50 years in the future. You want to say, so can I be with this person until God takes me?
Right.
Because you got to be weary of people that just want it their way. You got to be weary of people that it's all about them. They call it a narcissistic behavior. Yeah. They always right. Nobody else is right but them. They can't take accountability for nothing. And everything they do is right.
It's really dangerous when you think
it's
about
very
it.
dangerous.
It's a dangerous space to reside in.
You don't want people like that in your life.
Right.
I'm sorry. There's some people out there right now that know somebody or with somebody that's like that. And they got a butt in their mouth because they know on inside that they're going through this. Listen, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to mess nobody up. Not trying to mess with relationships, but run.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because you're going to be old one day looking back over your life and be like, I never knew love.
Yeah, or never had love.
And
or you had it.
And you're living with the enemy. You're sleeping with the enemy. Wow. And you wake up one day and be like,
do you remember that movie?
What in the world have I been doing all these years? Yeah. Because you're afraid. It's all about fear. You're afraid of losing something.
But you lose it all anyway.
You're afraid of losing family. You're afraid of losing things, of children, and you end up losing them anyway.
You lose it all anyway.
It's the trick of the enemy to keep you stifled in a situation and make you think there's no way out. But I'm tell you, trust God. You start praying, you start asking God for help, and God will give you strength. He will show you, I'm telling you, he will show you some things. And he will even show you how to get out of a violent relationship too. He will. He'll open up doors. You'll never know. He'll make you so far removed from that person. I'm talking about a bad person. I'm not talking about a good person.
Right. And we're not saying, go throw somebody away. That's not what we're saying.
I'm not saying that. If that's a good person, of course, stay with the person.
Right.
Why wouldn't you?
Sorry to interrupt, but it takes compromise. It's a give and take. And he said it best. It's a compromise. But when you see the false flagging, when you see the deception, when you see the not acknowledging issues or not acknowledging wrongs, when they always try to ghost you or whatever the case may be, that's red flags that you really should pay attention to. Don't be so infatuated. Sometimes we mistake infatuation for love, or the physical attraction, the lust of the eye. And that is a dangerous place. Or new experiences. I'm being very transparent. This is not for children. This is not the PG. This is not rated R, but this is adult content. And so you have to be careful when you allow those fleshly things. Okay, of course we have to be attracted to our mates for something.
Because that's the first thing you see.
That's your first. It's your eyes first thing you see.
You don't know this person until you see them, but you get to know them, but you see them first.
But you have to be leery of the red flags. You can't, when it's, or the signs of infidelity and sometimes people hope they'll change, or hope you live on that hope.
That's one thing you cannot do.
And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So you end up hurting yourself.
Quit trying.
And if you have children, you hurt the kids.
Quit trying to change a person.
Right.
Like they always got this saying, if somebody shows you or tells you how they are, believe them.
You better believe it.
You don't want to, if that person is always tearing you down mentally and physically, verbally. Listen, always, every time, you can't do nothing right. Believe them.
True. I've been there before. I'd say every day was bad in my previous marriage, but every day wasn't good either. And it's just, some people are mature enough to handle the relationship. And maturity, let me tell you something, it's not an age, it's a
It
mindset.
is a mindset.
See, if you're not mature enough to handle the situation you're in, you can handle it very poorly, or you can mishandle people.
Mhm.
And mishandling people, you can lose out on a really good thing, and then you'll be living in the abyss of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and then you'd be mad at no one but yourself. But you'll try to blame everybody else for something you did or did not do. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
You gotta have self-worth. You gotta look at it like this. You're a child, you're royalty. You're a child of the
Treat
king.
yourself as such.
When you're a child of the king and you're royalty, you don't just let anybody enter in your kingdom, into your
To
kingdom,
your courts.
to your courts. You are very particular who you come in, and you speak to royalty with grace and respect and
That's
honor.
exactly right.
You got somebody, ladies, you got somebody coming and talk to you and what's up there, boo? What's up there, shawty? What up there? I mean,
Excuse me?
Ho and B. No. You don't need
No, I have a
nobody
government
like
name.
that.
I suggest you use
Because the respect, because let me tell you
it.
something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something what I found a long time ago. If they come in doing that and that's what they gonna do, you marrying them is not going to make them change. What it's going to do is going to make them do it worse, because the first thing they'll say is, "You accepted me like this." You know, I've heard them words before. You married me like this.
Or you know what you was getting into.
You know what you was getting into when you got in, and you make you pause. I had to push pause.
Yeah,
Well, hello,
I guess
baby.
I did.
So you accepted that. Be careful what you accept in your life. Only thing you should accept is the word of God, because God is not going to harm you.
No.
And he's going to show you who and what and where and how. All those. You just got to trust them.
Yeah. I like how you put that. If we dial back a little bit, what you said, you accept something. It's almost like in a contract. You agree. It's an agreement. So you agree when you accepted the terms and conditions of that situation, of that marriage, of that relationship. I know you start out with holidays, but here we are.
Yeah. It's perspective.
It's perspective. So when you agree to the terms and conditions, then the other party is like, there's nothing wrong here because we've been doing this all this time. So what's wrong now? And so you have to be careful what you accept from people in situations. When you start a self-awareness, and like he says it best, you can look at a lot of situations and you can lay it at your feet.
Yeah.
You can lay it before yourself.
Everything that you
had a
you're going through right
in that.
now in life, most of the time,
Yeah.
you can lay it at your feet. What I didn't do wrong, what I didn't do right,
Right.
who I got with, who I didn't get with, what I didn't do, what I did do, can bring you to where you at today. Most of the time you can.
Right.
Now, I will say this before we get off. In a marriage, when you get married, and I've heard this before too, your marriage is not just a piece of paper.
It's not.
It's a covenant under God.
Promise.
It's a promise. When they say in sickness and in health, rich or poor, better or worse, I meant that.
I do too.
Now, the only time that should be broken in the Bible, because I've been divorced, in the Bible in Corinthians, it talks about marriage. And I never believed in it. I never believed that in divorce. I didn't want to do it.
I think we talked about that. Neither one of us.
Neither one of
the
us
first
wanted
time, I know you, not to say your business or anything like that, but I know your parents divorced.
Yeah.
But my parents never did. Death is what parted my parents. 55 years, and that's what I was raised in. And when he says, when you make that commitment, it's a covenant. You have witnesses. You're promising God that I'm going to love this person. I'm going to stay with this person, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of what storm comes, regardless of what financial hardships we have, regardless of what infirmities, or if you don't know what infirmities are, sicknesses comes our way, regardless of the ups and downs, regardless of what it looks like. I promise you, if you've tethered two people to one, and I hope this blesses somebody and helps somebody. If you if you're the result of divorce, because we both are, but if you are entering into a new relationship, do that evaluation on yourself. Is, can I, if things aren't roses and sunshine and flowers, if I do have the rain clouds come, if the storms come, can I withstand? Am I going to be like the tree planted by the riverside? I'm going to bend, but am I going to break? Am I going to break camp because it looks rough? Am I going to break camp? Maybe he makes a poor financial investment. If I make a poor financial investment and it puts a hardship on my household, am I willing to stay in it? Like he said, he takes it serious. I take it serious. Promise God to care for this man regardless. Nobody is.
You're not perfect either.
Nobody is.
But like again, you're not perfect. But the thing is, in Corinthians it says God calls us to peace. Because he said, how do you know your spouse is going to be saved? You don't know that. And it also says you can't make that person love you. You can't make that person want you. Not as if in actions or in words, that person can tell you, I don't want you. And how they treat you.
When they show you.
And when they show you.
They show you.
They may not, listen, they may tell you, I don't want a divorce, but they show you.
They don't want the marriage.
They don't want the marriage.
Right.
Because there's something to lose. Stability. They're not acting like a husband. They're not acting like a wife. They don't give you benevolence like a spouse. They don't treat you the way you should be treated, with love. You feel like a daggum stranger in your own house. You feel belittled in your own house. You feel less than a dog in your own house. I can tell you stories that'll turn your hair white.
Yeah. What they say, you peel your wig back.
If that person does not want you, you cannot make them want you. No matter what you do, you'll sit there for the rest of your life trying to please somebody that does not want to be pleased, that they do not want to be happy.
They want the, what is that, instant gratification or the benefit of you being there.
Now, them people that do that,
end up lonely.
I'm sorry.
End up lonely and wondering what happened.
To me, and infidelity.
Abuse.
Physical and verbal.
Mental. Abuse is mental.
That's wrong.
And emotional abuse. It's real.
I ain't trying to be funny. You don't need to be with nobody like that, because you'll be decrepit and old somewhere and they're using you.
Yeah. You're convenient.
Convenient. That's it. And you'll be very unhappy. I'm not trying to break nobody up.
No.
I'm just telling you signs of somebody that does not really want.
We can't share what we haven't experienced. And I would never create a falsity just for the sake of a view. I'm never going to do that. No. I'm not going to create a narrative of lies. Let's just be honest.
You're not going to lie.
I'm not going to do that. He's not going to do that. That's not who we are.
We're here to encourage and to help
you. We'll share you. I can't share any experience I have not had. He can't share experience he has not had. And so that's what we created these spaces, even though, I have my own space, and he has his, and there's where we'll come together and encourage. And so we are sharing, and this is just a skim of what we've been through. Yeah. This is not the entirety, because if, like he said, if you were to hear some of the stuff, even that he endured, that I endured, and or what I, like people, what you've been through, it would make you turn your head, because we were committed, but the other parties were not committed.
Now, I will say this: everything you go through, every storm you go through, is a learning experience.
That's right.
Now, it's funny, you put yourself through it. That's a reality.
Yeah.
If you go through anything and you allow it, you put yourself through it because you don't have to go through it. It's a choice. But God allows it to make you stronger.
But you think about it. Have you ever thought about had you not experienced those things?
Where would I be today?
Where would you be? What would you have learned?
Don't know.
And how could you appreciate it?
It's made me stronger.
Exactly.
It's
Even
made
though the
me a lot.
experience, it could
And
you
it
take a
also
lesson away from anything.
Also shows me how to treat
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
and how I want to be treated. All right, guys.
That's just a skim tonight.
Work night.
It's a work night. Yeah, we got to get ready for the next day.
I'm a
But
truck driver. I got to be up.
We will actually come back and we'll share more.
Yeah.
This is just we've planted these seeds. Oh my goodness, we planted. We have different pages, to be honest with you, and we planted those in 2022, early 2022, almost a year ago. And so we're watering those seeds now because it's time. Everything. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes, for time, everything has a season, and so it's time for us to really water. Because there's some things that individuals need to hear from us. Are we the perfect couple?
I was just about to say,
no,
we're not perfect.
But there's so much.
Sharing experience.
You don't understand, and I'm not to carry on, but you don't understand those life experiences that God allowed you to go through, even though it was some of it self-induced because he's got a perfect will and he's got a permissive will. And he'll permit certain things that you want it bad enough, I'm going to let you have it.
Yeah.
So those things that he allowed us to experience made us who we are today.
He does not need your help.
He doesn't.
He just needs your cooperation.
Yeah.
Let him.
And like I said, we'll share. And it's just we're here to help you. And what we're doing this year, closing out this quarter, going into next year, we'll share.
Yep.
We'll try to be as transparent as possible, but am I going to let you all in my business? Absolutely not.
No, just give you tidbits.
Just give you things to know the truths of situations
on our
behalf, our perspective.
Our perspective. That's it. It's our perspective.
But
it's not
just a perspective of what we experience. Yeah. Because I'm here to tell you, if you were to sit down and talk with my ex, he would admit it to everything that I say. Mm-hmm. Because he knows. And I'm just going to be honest with you, because he knows. He knows. And the beautiful thing that happened this year, roundabout, he apologized for the things that he did to my husband, the things that he did to me, and the things that he did to my children. So time will bring change sometimes. And sometimes people don't ever change because they don't ever acknowledge the fact that they've done something. That's that narcissistic behavior. Yeah. And I don't want to use it loosely because a lot of people don't understand, but that is a real personality trait. And so we're going to water in the months to come. And we just want to share with you.
All right.
So that's it. Good. It's just me, Shauna D.
And it's getting down with Stevie D. All right. Love you guys. And you guys have a good evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, gosh.